After being an avid player of Destiny 1, I was really interested in Destiny 2. I played the hell out of Destiny 1, but the Destiny 2's intro mission from when it first launched just scarred me from playing Destiny 2. So this is my experience of playing Destiny 2 as a returning player from Destiny 1 and returning from the very first mission of Destiny 2. Now, I have been actively following the Destiny community and the games and everything like that for quite a long time now. I was an avid player of Destiny 1, and when I played Destiny 2, I played the first mission, thought it was terrible, and just deleted it and haven't touched it since. Until now, of course. But after seeing adverts for Forsaken and Shadowkeep, I thought, do you know what, I'm going to start dipping my toes into Destiny 2 once more, and since it was free, I didn't have to pay for the game, which was absolutely fantastic. At this point in time, I was ready to give Destiny 2 another chance, and when I downloaded the game, which was a massive file size by the way, it took me forever to download the game digitally, I was really surprised with Destiny 2, and in a good way. I definitely can't say that I was disappointed with Destiny 2, and I feel like it was an overall really good package. I ported my character over from Destiny 1, which doesn't really make a difference whatsoever, but I just thought I'd put it out there. And all of a sudden, he went to level 20. I don't know if this is because I ported over my character, or it's just the way that Destiny works now for new players, but I haven't really played much of the story. I have mainly been playing raids, strikes, Gambit, Crucible, everything but the story. The story just really doesn't interest me. PTSD from the first mission, who knows, but the story doesn't really interest me that much, and personally I'm just really happy playing these other game modes rather than the story. In every multiplayer game, there's always that one game mode that you like to play. For me, in Destiny 2, it's strikes. I find strikes to be the most replayable of the game modes, and it's just really fun to just play with random people, or even with friends. It doesn't really matter. You don't really have to have a game plan going in, it's basically just run and gun, kill that boss and get that loot. Being only light level 910 means that some areas of the strike game mode are locked off to me, as well as other parts of other game modes, but I'll get to that later on. This doesn't really affect the replayability for me, but I feel like it will once I get a higher light level and then realise that those level 750 light strikes are so easy compared to now where I feel like they're slightly challenging but not too difficult. It doesn't even seem like light level is a restrictive thing at the very start, as I have completed the Nightfall raids, the strikes, that's it, the Nightfall Ordeal strike. Damn, I play too many strikes. But after that humble brag, I must say that I am looking forward to playing the higher light level versions of the strikes, because I'm feeling like as I'm inching closer to that next level of strikes, I think it's 1060 or 1050 light level, at that point I feel like I will find it a challenge once more rather than just breezing through it as I am now. I think that I really love about strikes is that they're only about 20 minutes, they're relatively short. They're short boss fights, short mini sections with minor enemies, but those boss fights are pretty intense. You could graze the end of that boss fight by the skin of your teeth. You've got the tiniest bit of health left, the enemy has the tiniest bit of health left, and then BAM! You get that final shot in on that boss, and everything is over. You get your loot chest, and then you're back into orbit. It's like 20 minutes of pure fun, and even I'd consider them to be like micro raids. There's not any puzzle elements to them, but they just are structured very similar to the raids that I have played. Although, I do have a feeling that the hardcore Destiny 2 community are going to have a field day and say that I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, the thing is that I kind of do and I kind of don't, because I'm new to Destiny 2, and this is just my experience of playing Strikes and Destiny 2 in general, so back off. But enough about Strikes, let's go on to a different game mode, let's go to Crucible. Crucible holds your standard multiplayer game modes like Team Deathmatch, Last Team Standing, Capture the Flag, that whole ordeal. Now I haven't played as much of Crucible as potentially I should have for this video, but I've played enough to sort of gather what my thoughts and opinions on it are. I mainly played Capture the Flag. I found that to be my favourite game mode for Destiny 2. I feel like the movement system and all the abilities complement it fairly well. I feel like it complements it a lot more than your standard Team Deathmatch. I feel like the added mobility really adds to the overall experience of Capture the Flag, trying to jump over the enemy flag as a warlock and then try and shoot everyone out from behind. And I can generally play about 10 games of one game mode before I have to move on to another, because perhaps I've got bored of the game mode, or, you know, I'm losing too much, but, you know. I do generally enjoy Crucible's game modes, especially playing with friends. I feel like playing with friends always makes a difference when you're playing Destiny, or just any game in general. Especially joining a clan might help you if you're finding it hard to find people to play with, or you can look on communities, but a clan is where it's at if you want to make real friends while playing Destiny 2. And I'm currently in a clan called the Neophytes, and I've found great people to play with on Destiny 2, so shout out to the Neophytes, you know, good clan, go join them on Destiny 2. But overall, making a clan or joining a clan really does make or break your experience with Destiny 2. Whether playing in the Crucible, Raids, Strikes, or any other game mode for that matter. But yeah, that's everything on the Crucible. Fun game modes, bit of fun, you know, Crucible. But then we have Gambit. Now Gambit is another personal favourite of mine. I have been really enjoying my time in Gambit. Playing against AI, and then you can be invaded by the enemy team, as frustrating as that sounds, and as frustrating as it actually is when you get 15 motes of light, and then get killed by the enemy team just as you're about to deposit your motes, and get your score to then release the boss to win the round. It's just super fun. Gambit is a mode that I could play for easily an hour or two straight. The map variety is pretty nice, and the fact that the enemy types change up as well. You're not just fighting the same type of enemies, you're fighting the different versions of the enemies. It's a really nice touch. I haven't delved into Gambit Prime, I've just been playing mainly the standard Gambit game mode, purely because I'm a bit worried that I'm going to mess things up, and I'm not too sure if there's a light level cap, I can't really remember. But Gambit in general is really fun, and you get some really nice rewards from being the first person to complete the rounds. Like at the end of your game of Gambit, you'll get pretty good loot, even if you win or lose, which is a really nice touch and encourages replayability. I don't know what it is though, I always feel like the bosses are bullet sponges. Maybe that's just because I'm too low a light level and, you know, I'm too weak for the bosses, but you know, what can you do? But that's why at the moment I'm grinding my light level up as quickly as possible, just so I have a more open variety of game modes to play, which would be really nice and especially add to the amount of replayability that Destiny 2 already has. But Gambit is a very strange game mode in the sense that when you're killing enemies it feels fairly casual, but as soon as that boss fight comes in, you are trying to put every little bit of ammo you have into that boss, or even a slice of a sword into that boss, just to get that health down a little bit more than the enemy team. And that's a real rush of adrenaline and excitement, and when you do kill that boss before the enemy team, even if it's just the first round, you feel so accomplished and complete when you kill that boss, especially if you won it by a narrow bit of health, and then in the loading screen for the next round you can sort of show off to the enemy team as you're facing each other in separate cornered off areas. It's always a bit of fun to gloat, but you know, don't gloat too much, otherwise, you know, people don't like you. And then we have raids. Yes, raids. So, I am not a tremendously high light level right now, so certain raids are restricted off to me until I rank up my light level, but the one raid that I have done is the Leviathan raid. And do you know when I did that Leviathan raid? The day that I loaded up Destiny 2 for the first time. I was light level 750 doing a Leviathan raid that I didn't know how to do. That didn't go well for the other players, but we did get it completed eventually. The players that I did play with, they were very nice and helped me out with the raid, even though I didn't know what the hell I was doing whatsoever. I really feel like I held back the people in the raid, but they were so kind as to help me through it, even though I only had like blue guns, which did absolutely nothing to the final boss whatsoever. Their damage was like 100,000 and mine was like 1,200. But raids are a lot more engaging to the player than your strikes or even just your public events. This is because you actually have to do work. You have to know what you're doing when you're doing it. For example, in the Leviathan raid, where you have to jump through certain hoops and then call out what the green hoop is for the other players to shoot at. It's moments like that, I was like, what the hell am I doing? But I just did what they told me, and it worked, and we got the raid completed. Teamwork and communication are the focal point of raids. If you don't have those things, then I guarantee you will fail. And you wouldn't really be able to do them unless you're actually being vocal with your team. If you had a raid squad with no microphones, I guarantee that you wouldn't complete that raid. Especially with the parkour steps in the Leviathan raid, you would literally need people to talk to tell you what to shoot at. So, if you're going to play a raid, make sure you have a squad of people that are vocal and helpful while doing your raids, because if you don't have those, then I guarantee those raids will not be completed. The only reason I wanted to do the Leviathan raid was for the sake of doing the Leviathan raid, and I did get a pretty cool sword at the end of it, and I thanked all of them for helping me, and I was like, do you know what, I'm the biggest asset to this team. But we all had a laugh. It was really good fun, and I did say, you know, if you need any more help with raids and you need another person, just hit me up. Yeah, they haven't hit me up since, so that's a testament to how much I helped, but at least the offer was on the table. But on the story side of things, I haven't done any of the story. I've done a few bits on Mars, but nothing to what I expected the campaign to be. I haven't had any cinematics, so the fact that there's no cinematic stuff made me feel like I wasn't even doing campaign. And perhaps I wasn't even doing campaign, I was just doing side missions on Mars. But I just don't really get the appeal of the Destiny 2 campaign. I feel like Destiny 2 is more of a multiplayer experience, and it doesn't really need the story to be there. It can be as a backdrop for the entire experience, but it certainly doesn't need to be at the forefront of Destiny 2. And with Destiny 2, the only real problems that I had with the game weren't even in the core gameplay mechanics. It was just in the loading times and the matchmaking. Loading times took forever to try and get a Crucible match. For about an hour straight, it was just taking me in and out because people were dropping out of the game before we even loaded in. And generally, the loading screens just take a fairly long time to get to places, and I really feel like it ruins the engagement of the game, where you're having to travel back and forth, say, to the tower and then back to the planet you were on. It just takes a very long time. It's nothing too bad because it is quite a big game, as they are having parts of Destiny 1 and new bits of Destiny 2, and eventually they'll phase out Destiny 1 content for Destiny 2 content and put it in a cycle. But because it's such a big game, I can understand why these loading screens are taking so long, purely because the game is so massive. And the new content that they're bringing in, incorporated as well with the old content from Destiny 1, really gives new players the chance to play Destiny 1 or sections of Destiny 1 without even having to own the game, which is a really nice touch with the new light stuff for Destiny 2 for new players, as it just gives them a taste of what Destiny 1 was like, which is always a very nice touch. But that was my experience with Destiny 2 as a new player. I really enjoyed my time with Destiny 2, especially with playing with friends and even with randoms. The whole community around Destiny 2 is really friendly and nice, and they will help you out no matter what, which is absolutely fantastic, as you don't really find games like that in the modern day, really, in my opinion anyway. But yeah, Destiny 2, I'm certainly going to keep playing Destiny 2 and see if the DLC is worth it later on down the line when I've completed all of the mainline content. But Destiny 2 for new players is certainly a lot more welcoming than what it was at launch. So I'm sure no matter what type of multiplayer gamer you are, you will certainly find something in Destiny 2 that is catered just for you. Hey, that rhymed. Hey, I'm pretty good at that. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, then subscribe and turn on that notification button so you don't miss another upload from me. So thank you and goodbye.